Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Growing Your Managed Services with Voleer. My name is Kelsey Olmeim, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Voleer Americas, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. Our speaker today is Willie Cash. He's the General Manager for Voleer Americas. We're really excited to share with you today, so let's get started. Willie, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate it. And thank you all for attending today. I know we've still got some additional folks that are joining. I'm really excited to take a chance and be able to speak with you all. And for today's purpose, we're really going to kind of keep this short and to the point, right? Time's the most valuable resource. And here at Voleer and at BidTitan, we're all about how do we save you time. And as an automation company, we try to make sure that's paramount first and foremost. So just to give you an idea around the agenda, so we'll be going through some of the challenges that we hear from MSPs, CSPs, ITSPs on a regular basis. We work with thousands of partners across our BidTitan business on the Voleer team. We work with folks on a daily basis to understand what challenges, obstacles that they're coming across, and how can we help with the Voleer platform and be able to offer out different solutions to help in that market. So the goals for MSPs, right? You want to make sure you can keep your customers happy. You want to edge out the competition. You want to figure out how to maximize your revenue. These are not these are very common. Nothing new there. But I think what we'll be able to do is dive into that. You also want to understand how we can start leveraging automation to bring that value to your customers today. Unlike many of the platforms and tools that you all may use as MSP or CSP, Voleer offers an uncanny ability to get started immediately. That's one of the things you'll learn to understand as you get more familiar with the platform. So we want to really talk about that. Talking about growing your managed services overnight, right? We'll talk about our out-of-the-box library, how to take advantage of that, some different scenarios. And in addition to that, Kelsey, towards the end of our presentation, will make sure you stick around because she'll be going through our first campaign in a box offerings for Microsoft Teams. So think about, how do you get the message out? How do you drive engagement with your end customers? Oftentimes, partners that we talk to don't know where to start, and we're trying to put together some marketing materials that she'll be able to go through that will help you get started right away. The other thing you'll notice through the day is you'll notice the theme, and it's that you can get started using Voleer today. So just to address challenges, right? Again, we spoke earlier from BidTitan perspective, we've got 43,000 plus IT service providers we work with across the globe on an annual basis. And if there's one thing that we hear, it's around the challenges that you all face on a regular basis. And this year, 2020, with everything going on, I think it's just put some of those challenges in hyper focus. So one of the areas that we want to focus around is making sure that you can be reactive and to the problems that are really facing your customers on a regular basis. And what has been status quo and been able to keep you in mind's eye with your customer is not the same, right? Being reactive to problems isn't enough to stay competitive. With Microsoft 365 being in a more competitive space, there's more IT service providers or CSPs onboarded through direct and indirect channels than ever before, and that continues to grow. And what that means is the pool for available competition continues to grow, right? So you have to think about how do we define, how do we refine, and how do we optimize our business to make sure that we're staying ahead of that curve. There's things where you can be a problem solver and offer something others don't, right? If you thought about how to offer quarterly cost optimization reporting, right? You can do that with the Voleer. Monthly security reporting, you can do that with Voleer. And we'll talk about some scenarios in just a little bit, how you can get advantage or take advantage of those things out of the box. And then, as we continue to focus down here, we talked about competition just a second ago, and that it really is a crowded market, right? There's tens of thousands of CSPs globally in your neighborhood, in your town, in your city, in your state. The competition continues to grow, and ultimately, what you've got to do is figure out how you retain that productivity stack, right? The Microsoft 365, the O365, the Exchange Online, like that really has become the connection with customer retention. And you need to make sure that you're not going to lose that productivity stack to someone offering a few dollars or a few cents less per license, right? You want to make sure that if those people try to creep in, you're adding enough value that you get that conversation with your customer, right? And you've locked them in. And then finally, you have to figure out how to do more with less, right? Or more with the same if you're lucky. A lot of the partners we talk to, some are hiring, not all. And right, you need to figure out, how do I optimize my existing workload? Because ultimately what you're trying to figure out is, how do I get more time in my day? Time, like I mentioned earlier, is by far the most costly resource that we all have, and we need more of, and we can help with that. So, why Voleer, right? Voleer was built for MSPs. BitTitan, like I mentioned, has been around for 14 years, almost 14 years now. Most of you all either know or have used our MigrationWiz product to get your customers into the cloud. Voleer is not MigrationWiz. MigrationWiz is not Voleer. We're both product organizations within BitTitan. And having that mindset around MSPs first was put into place when we started building Voleer, right? To understand what it was like. And what we want to make sure is that you have instant access. We talk about the ability to do these assessments, get access to these reports and tools and things like that. We'll highlight just a little bit. We want to make sure those things are available out of the box. No heavy configuration, customization needed, no long-term onboarding. They're available. You can push the button, you can set them up and go, right? We want to make sure that we're bringing these tools together and adding to the library. They're going to help you in all different areas of the IT lifecycle, from assessing, deploying, monitoring, alerting, and then across these different key areas, right, around cost and governance, productivity, security, adoption. All these things equal key features and functions and frankly pain points of your customers. So we want to make sure that you have access to those, and right, we want feedback and to understand where you're finding value. Because ultimately you want to align your offering with your buyer's pain points so that you're able to retain and attract new customers. And being able to run and access these should help in those fashions. That's what we hear consistently from our partners. They're using Voleer. And the cool part about this is, like, you can figure out how to add value to your existing customers and additional value to your managed services and other offerings. But think about ways that you can use Voleer and some of the assessments we'll talk about in just a little bit as pre-sales opportunities, right? So just like we talked about staving off the competition, you can be someone else's competition, right? So it's whether you're looking to retain, maintain, and really solidify the value with your customer, or you're looking to expand because maybe you had customer fall off or people have gone out of business, you need to continue to grow. You can use Voleer in both fashions, and we'll go through that a little bit in our scenarios down here. And then you'll see some of the logos we have listed here. This is really just the tip of the iceberg with Voleer, right? We have out-of-the-box assessments and tools around Teams, around Microsoft 365, Azure, and Zendesk, right? Zendesk is an interesting logo to be in there, but we use Zendesk internally. We use all the other technologies you see listed there internally as well. So we actually use these tools just as much as we promote them to partners like yourself. So we understand the value that needs to come out of these tools for the IT service provider. So what you all came here for, right? How do you start growing your services overnight? And what we want to do is really help you see value immediately. Internally, we have a motto called Day One ROI. And that's really our guiding principle and how we build every part of Voleer. If you ever have a chance to hear or speak with G-Man Yip, our founder and CEO, he's very focused on time to value, right? when we sit with our engineering team, when we sit with our automation and development team, anything we're talking about is consistently looking to optimize and how do we get time to value. And what he's talking about when he says time to value is from the time you log into the Voleer, the time you click one of these assessments, and the time you get your output. We want that to be as tight of a timeline and as an efficient and positive process for you as the user as possible. And we definitely keep that in mind. So let's go through a scenario of how you could start leveraging some of these tools around security with your customer. And keep in mind, we're talking about security, but if you think back a few slides, we've got tools and assessments that focus around cost optimization, governance, productivity, product usage, adoption, all these different areas. Security happens to be, frankly, one of the highest requested, most frequently executed templates. Our Microsoft 365 security user assessment. So that's what we're going to focus on. But again, you can kind of take this as a formula for how you replicate, regardless of the assessment we're talking about. Think about how you leverage and how you can roll this out in a repeatable fashion for your customers, again, to add that value. So imagine sitting down with an existing customer or a new prospect and saying, hey, you know, we offer differentiated services. We can give you a comprehensive assessment on the status of your 365 accounts in minutes. We can also show you the top vulnerabilities. And you know, the great part about Voleer is you'll be able to see things like the MFA status, multi-factor authentication status, password expiration, public website data breach checks, and you know, inactive account identification, password lifespan, account permissions, on and on and on. Right? If you've had a chance to look at any of these reports, the depth and detail that you have is magnificent, right? It cascades across things from Exchange Online to 365 APIs to the Graph API and so on. And it pulls all this stuff and stitches it all together for you, and it's super easy to understand and take advantage of Excel report, right? So you have this at your fingertips. So imagine being able to say that to your existing customers and to potentially new prospects. And then imagine being able to schedule that on a recurring basis, right? Not have to go in and press the button, not have to go in to the different UIs and pull different reports and then combine these reports manually, right? You now have not only an easy button to get all this information with a click of a button, you have the ability to schedule it on a recurring basis. So now let's fast forward a little bit. This says, okay, we've got this monthly security assessment that's going out to our customers. Well, imagine taking that and instead of just sending it directly to your customers is this large dump of data, right? And with some insights and dashboards. Imagine sending this to the sales rep internally that owns that particular customer, giving them insights to then have a proactive conversation with that end customer to then drive that stickiness, that retention, right? To stave off the competition that we talked about. You're always trying to figure out what can I talk to my customers about that's relevant, right? Other than just asking them for money, right? Or asking them what their pain points are. With these assessments and these tools, you now have the ability to be very proactive in that stance, right? Arm your salespeople with that, arm your technical resources with that so that they can be very proactive in these engagements. And then you can set that up to schedule on a daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly run, however you want it. You can choose to send that to the customer. You can choose to send it, like my example earlier. A few of our partners will send this to their internal sales organization on a monthly cadence with a very specific list of things to look for that they basically repackage that and send that out to their customer. We actually have another MSP that packages this up and has it sent out to the CFO of their end customers, or basically the finance team, right? The people that stroke the checks. And they do that because not only do they want to make sure they're solving problems, they want to make sure the people that are paying for it are seeing that those problems are being solved, right? I thought that was pretty ingenuitive of them putting that together. In addition to the user security assessment, which is kind of what I was describing, we also have a template in Voleer called the targeted security notifications. And this actually goes to the line worker, right? The individual end user at an organization. And it's going to send summary either every 7 or 14 days that looks at different type of suspicious activity. So if you're seeing things like compromised accounts, unsuccessful login attempts, logins by location, right? It's going to send it to a person like me or like someone in your organization, right? That they're going to say, hey, what's going on with my account? And it'll give a reason to reach back out to IT, right? It's that proactive engagement using automation and Voleer. So I will give you one interesting tidbit. I was talking to an MSP based out of South Florida, and he was a little skeptical of being able to, it wasn't as easy as we were talking about when using Voleer. So I challenged him. I said, use our free account, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and run it on your own organization, right? I'm giving you examples of scenarios you may want to run through. I challenge you to run it on your own organization. So we were in a Teams environment, our Teams meeting. We set that up. He ran it against his organization. He's got about 50 or 53 folks in his organization. And I had him run through the key scenario I usually highlight, which is in our user security assessment, you have a dashboard that shows all the users and who has MFA enabled, who doesn't. We have things around who has administrative controls and permissions and who doesn't. And I had him switch to the second tab and filter first on anyone with admin control, right? So it's a really easy, you can just literally click, and from there, it's going to show you anybody in that organization under that particular tenant or subscription that has any type of administration permissions. And then from there, the second column over, I had him click on who does not have MFA enabled. And lo and behold, he, as the CEO of the organization, was one of the folks that did not have MFA, but had very high level credentials, right? And very high level permissions and global admin and things of that such, right? For him, it was an eye opener because as an MSP, sometimes these things get taken for granted, right? Well, as an end customer, right? Someone at a plumbing company or an insurance agency or a legal firm, they're probably definitely taking those things for granted unless you're having that proactive conversation with them, right? So for him, it was an eye opener. Like, he's a subscriber now, he's using this, and he's using that same scenario that he kind of fell victim to himself to now go back across his customer organization to have these proactive conversations and so on. So again, I share that just more or less to kind of get your imagination going around how these different opportunities are available and how we can hopefully help you from a Voleer perspective. So why MSPs choose Voleer? The easiest way to say is you can get started immediately, right? By the time we're already about 20 minutes into this particular presentation, you could already have your account set up, which Kelsey will put a link in towards the end of our meeting today, and you'll have a chance to sign up if you haven't already. But you can sign up for an account. There's no credit card required to run our free solution. You've got access to the out-of-the-box automation, which I'll, again, challenge you to run it against your internal organization, right? Think of it like internal use rights is our free version for partners. But it's quick, it's easy, it's intuitive. It's 100% cloud, so there's nothing to install. There's no agents that you have to deploy, right? So it is non-invasive. And if you're a partner who has what I like to call services IP, right? You have standard operating procedures and practices and processes that you run on a repeatable basis, and you want those automated, right? You have a repository of PowerShell scripts that your tech team are using on a regular basis to do certain actions and activities. Within Voleer, we can also customize. We call it private publishing. It's not a prerequisite because we have the out-of-the-box assessments and templates, but it's there if you want to take advantage of it. So all about getting started. Which plan's right for me? This is a common question we have when talking to MSPs, of all different sizes. How do I get started? Where do I get started? we really have 3 different options for you, right? And we have, well, 4 if you count custom. But we have free, we have professional, and we have what we call enterprise. The free plan for an MSP like yourselves, I like to think about this as your internal use rights, right? This is one where you can set it up, you can get familiar with the technology that's in Voleer, the assessments, the tools, the different things that are now available at your fingertips by running on your own organization, right? Are you using Teams internally? If you are, unless you have tight governance in place, you probably have Teams sprawl. So use our Teams optimization assessment, use our Teams channel copy and merge automated tool that will move a private team to a public team, and all the chat and files and stuff underneath, be able to archive teams and so on, Teams adoption. Do you have your own concerns about security within your organization? Do you know of the people that have these high level permissions internally? When's the last time they reset their password? What do they have MFA enabled? Those same things I gave you in this scenario, if you had to take an honest look at your organization, what would that look like? That's what free is about for MSPs, right? It's about how do I get this? How do I use it? How do I dog food it to understand it so that I can take those same best practices and get those out into my customers' organizations, right? And start turning that into a revenue opportunity. And that's where the pro version comes in, or professional version. With the professional version, you're going to be able to cascade this across your end customers, and run these assessments, set up and schedule these assessments, like the monthly, a monthly or quarterly security assessment, monthly or quarterly Teams optimization assessment. You'll be able to do cost optimization. You can set up any number of different frequencies and or assessments and things to engage more with your customers again, and add that differentiated value that your competition is not in today's way. And then enterprise is really about those folks that are looking to automate and deliver that services IP I mentioned earlier, right? If you are doing the same process over and over and over, and you want an easy button for it, right? You literally want a button you can press and put a few points of information in there, but a way to reclaim hours. That's where enterprise comes in and private publishing. So for the most part, that pro version is the sweet spot for MSPs, right? If you've got 50 customers, 100 customers, 200 or 300 customers, 500 customers, whatever, we don't really care. Like that's for you all to understand. You have access to Voleer. Voleer is based on your organization, your team that are pushing the buttons, scheduling these assessments, running the tools. That's who Voleer is built for, and that's how you can take advantage of it. And you probably have questions. If you do, I absolutely encourage you to reach out and make sure that we've got some time scheduled, because I haven't had a chance to even go through the tool. I wanted to make sure we focused around helping you understand the purpose behind Voleer, and then we can get into the mechanics of what it looks like to run. Because we've got some easy videos, we've got an updated help center to be able to access and understand the inner workings of what happens when I push the button, right? That kind of stuff that's the easy part. I think helping you understand the opportunity ahead of you is the more critical point. So now what I want to do is hand it back over to Kelsey, our partner marketing manager that covers the Americas for Voleer, and she'll go through our Teams campaign in a box. Kelsey?
Yeah, thank you, Willie. Like we mentioned, we want to make this as easy as possible for you guys to get started in offering your new services that you get through Voleer. With Microsoft Teams usage continuing to rise, we thought this is a great place to start. So in conversations with partners, we know some of you have dedicated marketing resources and some of you don't, or you've only got 1 or 2 team members. So what we've decided to do is offer a suite of materials that you can easily use to execute a full campaign around Microsoft Teams services, or just simply content you can pull from to incorporate into your own marketing campaigns and assets. So it really works for the different levels of marketing support that you have. Willie mentioned a couple of these tools. The campaign highlights your offerings for Teams, including an assessment, our adoption report, the ability to copy and merge channels, archive them, and more. I've also loaded a handout that gives a quick summary of all these tools just so you can get more familiar with them since we did not have time to cover them today. We'll be sending you an email with the Campaign in a Box materials. We've got 4 emails, each one targeting different teams' pain points your customers are likely experiencing, what we're hearing from users today. So 4 emails, 8 social posts, 2 data sheets, a blog post, and we've also included a couple image files of the team's assessment and adoption report that gives a good visual of the type of information you can provide for customers or prospects. And all of these files are in Word or PowerPoint, so you can easily edit, customize, and use your own branding. All the emails, the social posts are written like they're coming from you because these really are your offerings that you're giving out to your customers. Also, I do just want to mention that if you're interested in receiving campaigns in a box around other technologies or pain points that you're hearing from your customers, please reach out to us and let us know. We will follow up with you. We definitely want to make sure that we provide you with marketing support that can help you convey these offerings in conversations you have, emails you send. We're here to help. Thanks, Willie.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kelsey. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm really excited on the Voleer side of the house at BitTitan. This is our first campaign in a box. And Teams being the hot button it is right now, there's no shortage of opportunities for our IT service providers, MSP partners to capitalize on this, right? We've got a wealth of tools and assessments in Voleer that you can take advantage of today. We've got this campaign in a box. And the cool part about the way that Kelsey's built this out and positioned it is this is not talking about Voleer, right? This is talking about the team's opportunity in a way that you can augment this information to get this out proactively to your customers. So if you have a marketing organization in your company, fantastic. Maybe this is a catalyst or a way to accelerate those efforts. If you don't, you're doing this yourself, you're bootstrapping it. We built this in a way that you can add your logos, you can customize the wording, you can do what you need to in order to be able to take advantage of this. Again, this is not about shining a light on Voleer. Voleer should be your best kept secret in your tool chest. This is about how do you drive that conversation with your customer that Voleer can unlock value for, and you can, again, differentiate and drive more value into your customers. So again, if you've got questions, please feel free to reach out. Keep an eye out for the email that'll be coming later. So around getting started, super simple. Sign up because it's free. Take a look at it, run it on your internal organization against your Office 365, Microsoft 365 subscription, run that user security assessment, get a sense of exactly what that process looks like. If you're interested in how to schedule that, so you want it to come on a monthly basis, set up some time. It's super simple, but again, we want that engagement. We want that connection to make sure we're bringing you value. So make sure you sign up for your account. Keep an eye out for the email that'll be coming later today. Again, first and foremost, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming along this journey with us. And we really hope that, more than anything, we can bring you value, right, and help you differentiate yourselves in a very competitive market. And thank you again for your time. Again, we look forward to hopefully you'll be able to sign up and take advantage of Voleer. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can contact Willie directly or go to the website at www.voleer.com for more information. Thanks and have a great day.